and each of the speakers will introduce themselves when they come up. So we're going to start with Christian. I will bring your slides up, Christian. Just one second, sorry.
Thanks for that, Andrew.
That's all right. Hopefully it's come up. Yep.
Yep, it's all good.
Thanks.
Nice. Thank you. So morning, everyone. As Andrew said, my name's Christian. I work in the Office of Research, Ethics and Integrity, and I work in an outreach role to promote and provide education on the responsible conduct of research. Some of that includes providing support on some specific tools that assist in supporting researcher responsibilities under the Australian Code for the Responsible Conduct of Research, or colloquially, as we like to refer to it as, the Code. So what I'm going to cover today is Lab Archives. It's an online research notebook. I'm going to talk about what it is, what are the benefits of using it, how you can sign up and access it, and where to go for further information and assistance. So next slide. So as I said, it's an online research notebook specifically designed to help you record and manage and store your research data and records. It's free to use and available to all UOM staff and students. You can access it using single sign-on. And like I said before, it's a tool to help you manage your research data and your records. So the last point in particular helps researchers fulfill their responsibilities under the code, as well as various University of Melbourne policies on research integrity, misconduct, research data management, information security, and records management. The values highlighted around the image in the corner basically represent principles of the code. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so why would you consider using it? Well, compared to traditional lab or research notebooks, we know that preservation can be unreliable due to a lack of central storage location. It can also be difficult to search, retrieve, share, and disseminate your data, as well as to collaborate. Compared to other commercial cloud-based applications that you might already be using, including OneNote, Google Docs, and Google Drive, these may not comply with the university's policies and standards, and most are not supported by the university itself. So both traditional notebooks, as well as these other cloud-based applications, might also lack clear guidelines about the transfer of data ownership. And this is important, obviously, when researchers leave projects, and this can lead to data loss. With Lab Archives, like I said, it supports researchers providing a central, simple, and flexible solution for capturing, monitoring, and auditing data. It has all the hallmarks of a traditional research data management tool, in the sense that it enables collaboration, data sharing, whilst also meeting the university's governance and compliance standards. The data is stored here in Australia. It's compatible with multiple devices and operating systems, and there's already fairly good uptake across the university, as well as other national and international universities. So locally, this includes Monash, University of Sydney, UNSW, University of Adelaide, ANU, and globally, some of the names of institutions that use this tool are Columbia University, Cornell, Harvard Medical School, and Caltech. So I'll go to the next slide, please. All right, so the sign up and access process is pretty straightforward. You basically go to their sign up page, which I've provided a link to in these slides. You select the University of Melbourne as your institution. You log in with your university credentials and just follow the remaining prompts. If you create a new notebook, you're basically the owner, but you can also invite and be invited to join other notebooks. Next slide. So it's very useful as far as working with other everyday applications. There are about 30 or plus different software integrations, and that list keeps growing. You can also make suggestions directly to Lab Archives on what integrations you'd like to see. There are also some really bespoke integrations, in addition to some of the more common integrations like Office 365 products, Figshare, and some of these bespoke integrations include apps and tools like RedCap and Snapgene. We're also currently in the process here in Ori with liaising with the vendor, Lab Archives, to schedule some upcoming training sessions. These are ones that we've run in the past, and between early March to say mid-April this year, we'd be looking to run at least one introductory session to Lab Archives for new users, as well as a session for notebook owners and administrators. Finally, I'd like to finish up on the next slide. So we've compiled a series of links to the various codes and policies that basically govern the use of research data and records, as well as policies on research integrity more broadly. We've also included links to various support resources and channels from both URM and the vendor itself. And the final message is, I guess, if you're a graduate researcher, please talk to your supervisor research team. And of course, reach out to us if you have any further questions. Under the support for researchers, the first link is our email address. So that's it from me. Sorry, Andrew, I think you're still on mute.
Right, you are. Chris, thank you, Christian. Ayla, you're up next, and I'll bring your slides up. And just so everyone's aware, we will share the slides with all registrants after the session. So, so you'll have all those links available to you. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Andrew. I'm Ailey. I'm the manager of the Digital Stewardship Research team here at the university. And today I'm just going to be giving a very high-level overview of some of the systems, support services and training that our team offers. Our team is based in Scholarly Services, which is basically part of the library, and we do sort of work closely with a lot of the other people who are speaking today. Next slide, please. So this is a very brief summary of some of the things that we do. We are a team that helps people and specialises in data curation, data publishing, open research, digital preservation, and providing advice on stewardship and curation on research data. We do look after several systems, and I'm going to go through those here. And provide some training, but we also are available for providing general advice and support for queries that come through about ways to look after your data. Next slide, please. So in terms of research data management and planning, next slide. I put a few too many breaks in here. I got a bit fancy with my slides. So managing data at Melbourne is an online training program that has been developed and looked after by our team. This is available for anyone at the university. It's in the university's learning management system, but a lot of graduate research students will already be registered for this course. And it really works through building a data management plan at the start of your research journey, and goes into how to, all the things you need to consider, file naming, file structures, but it also works through establishing a data management plan, in particular using the university's data management planning tool. So I do have links on all these slides to these things, but I'll go on to the next slide. And the data management planning tool is called DMP Melbourne. This is available to log in for university people. And it's actually a tool that works through, there's a couple of different templates in there, but it helps you to build a data management plan for your research. Data management plans are good to have at the start, but they don't necessarily need to be static. It's good if they're maintained throughout your research project. So that you have an accurate record of where all your data is, what it is, those sorts of things, and how you're looking after it in the long term. Next slide. And we might skip over this one. Thank you. We also look after Melbourne Figshare. This is the University of Melbourne's institutional instance of Figshare. This is available to all university staff members and graduate researchers. You can go to figshare.unimelb.edu.au, log in and start using this Figshare. There is also a general public Figshare. The advantage of the university one is that you do get more storage out of the box. And also all of the research data that is stored in Melbourne Figshare is stored on university infrastructure. So we actually do know, the location of those files. I think the general one's in the cloud somewhere. So this is a big advantage to using the Melbourne Uni one. It's a great place for publishing data and making your data open and open research. We are also using it for the publication of non-traditional research outputs more and more, and various other things. So there's a few different examples there of items in Figshare, but it's a great place to put your data. If there are suitable discipline-specific repositories that are commonly used in your discipline, we would recommend using them rather than this, because that's where people know to go to for that research. But if you are looking for a general place to publish your research data, Melbourne Figshare is great. You can share data privately prior to publication, create links and share it with, say, reviewers of journal articles, if this is where the supplementary data is sitting. However, its primary intention is to be made public and for publishing data, so it's not great for sensitive research data. We don't recommend it for that. Next slide, please. And one more, yep. So another thing that sits in our team is the University's Digital Preservation Program. And part of this is thinking about how to make digital materials available in the long term, or to retain digital materials in the very long term. So we're talking about, having files available for 50, 100 years, and the sorts of things you need to be thinking about at the start of your project or your start of your research to make sure that you are making, any files available for as long as possible. So we can provide advice around that, but it does all come into the data management planning as well, thinking about what file formats are suitable for your research data, what's going to be the best thing to be made available, making things available for others to use. Some considerations are, along the lines of, are you using a proprietary software that may not exist in 2 years' time and no one will be able to open the files again, including you? So they're the sort of long-term thinking things that we like to get people to do. And there is a very useful article in last year's 23 research things, which we've got a link to there. I think Eleanor might be talking a bit more about that later, more generally. And yes, but keep an eye out for any sort of training researcher at library. There's a few things that the team contribute to. So we do have quite a lot to offer. So I think I'll wrap up there and pass on to the next speaker.
Thank you so much, Ailey. Excellent. Kim, it is over to you. I think you're going to share slides from your computer, yeah?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. And hopefully you can see the right side of the presentation.
Perfect.
Amazing. So hello, everyone. I am Kimberly DaCosta, or Kim DaCosta. I'm a project officer with the university's Research Data Management Program. So a quick introduction, firstly, of what the program is. So we have been around at the university for a little over 4 years now. We're a very small team currently within research, innovation and commercialization at the university. And the goal of the program is to help researchers such as yourselves, as well as the broader research community, with the safe, effective, and compliant management of data. And the way we've done this, or the way we do this, is to either improve the resources that already exist at the university, or to implement new infrastructure, policies, or guidance. And we do this by working very closely with all of the teams that are presenting this morning at the showcase. So for today's short presentation, I just wanted to highlight 4 online resources or tools that I think are particularly relevant for the digital data space. The first one is our website or webpage, which can be found on the Research Gateway. And what this does is it summarizes best practice information and outlines some practical guidelines for the safe management of data across all stages of the research project or the research lifecycle. So that's from planning right through to publication, retention, and disposal of data. It also includes some specific recommendations on managing user access, data transfer, data sharing, reducing data sensitivity, and different aspects of data management. The second one is the research data classification tool, which essentially is a survey with multiple choice questions that enables you to assess the sensitivity of your data quickly and easily. So you answer all of these questions, and based on the information that you provide, you are given a classification from the university's research data classification framework, and also directed to further information, training, or other resources that are available that are appropriate for the classification level that you've been assigned. The third one is the Research Data Management System Finder, which enables you to filter, compare, and select the right research data system or systems for your project needs amongst all those systems that are provided at the university. And I will do a short demo of this in just a minute. And lastly is the Research Data Services Directory, which is an interactive and searchable catalogue of all the data-related services from across the university, as well as a few commonly used external services. So if I just skip out of the PowerPoint, and hopefully you can still see my screen. So this is what the Research Data Management System Finder looks like. This is a brand new tool. It was only released earlier this year. And there are 2 different mechanisms in which you can use this tool. The first one is in scenarios where you already have a short list of systems that you're interested in, or you know that are appropriate for your needs, and you just need some help or guidance between choosing the right one for you. Alternatively, you're already using a couple of systems or a particular system, and you need further information about it. So in these scenarios, you just focus on the right-hand side of the screen. From a list of all of these commonly used systems, you pick the ones that are of interest to you. So we have things like Lab Archives and Figshare, which Christian and Ailey just spoke about. If you sort of point your cursor at it, you do see a little floating box, which gives you a little bit of information about, commonly used scenarios in which you would use the system, and also what the system is similar to. You can select the ones that you're interested in. You can also, if you click again, you can unselect it. You can also clear all of your selection from the top here. But if I just pick a few, Lab Archives, Figshare, OneDrive, for instance, and then hit Compare Systems, it takes you down to this table of lots of key features and important details about each of the different systems. You've got technical features, security features, what the eligibility criteria are, links to further information, as well as a link to access the system. You can also export all of this table, or this information within the table rather, to a PDF, which looks like this, and this enables you to download, save, and share it with other colleagues at the university. If I scroll back up again, the second scenario or second mechanism of using the Finder is if you are just starting out, or you're unsure about which systems are appropriate for your needs, and you need some help making informed choices about it. In this case, you would start off with the left-hand side of the screen by answering a few questions, which start off very general, but then get more specific as you go down the list. So you can just choose if you're looking to do a particular activity. For example, you want to collect data from research participants, you select that, and then it automatically filters out those systems that do not offer that capability. And you're left with only those that will help you do the particular activity you're looking for. In this case, REDCap and Qualtrics. If you select something a little bit more general, for example, storing your data, you're left with a lot more options. And then as you go down the list, like I said, the more information you provide of what you're trying to do. So in this case, if I say I want to share or access is required by other individuals at the University of Melbourne, it takes out a couple more. I'm using sensitive data, it blocks out a few more, and then so on and so forth. And once you're left with a filtered list of options, similar to what I did before, you select the ones that you want to know more about, and then you can compare them. And go back here. So I just wanted to point out also, so there are a number of key considerations that you may already think about or you should be thinking about when you're choosing a system to store and manage your data. Some of these are listed here. So you should be aware of the different regulatory and contractual requirements for your research project. Things like using sensitive data or large volumes of data can impact the systems that you may use, who needs access to it, who your collaborators are. This one's an important one, the technical or cybersecurity features that you need to protect your data, as well as any processing or specialized analysis needs that you may have. And lastly, if you need help, there's a lot of help out there. You can email our program directly using this email, or for general research data management support, you can also submit a ServiceNow ticket. And that's it from me.
Thanks so much, Kim. Excellent. Andy, I think you're up next. Yep. I'll just share your slides. Over to you. Oh,
thank you, Andrew. Good day, everyone. My name is Andy Sen. I'm currently as the head of research computing and data solution at Research Computing Services. RCS operates within the Business Services Department, and we provide a dedicated IT infrastructure and services specially designed for research purpose. My team and I are the go-to guys for providing end-user support across all RCS services, and we are here to make sure you get the help you need and to make the most of RCS offerings. So today I'm very excited to introduce to you our services and their potential to support your research activities. At RCS, our goal is really to provide a research computing and data solutions and offer specialized domain expertise and technical support, and make it easier for you, our researcher, to access the tool and resource tailored to your need and across different research disciplines. Now, as ICS, we also offer a wide range of services, and those services can be grouped into computing and data categories. And in terms of computing, we provide access to research computing portal, where you are able to instantly access a managed Windows or Linux virtual machine, and that comes with pre-installed popular software such as MATLAB, R, or Jupyter Notebook. You also have access to our high-performance computing clusters that you will then be granted access to a very substantial CPU and GPU processing power through a queuing systems. And there's also Melbourne Research Cloud, which provide an encompassed private cloud solution. This allows you to run and manage your own virtual machine. If you want to run specialized software application, you can do so. We also facilitate external access to external vendors resources such as Amazon Web Services. And this is particularly important if the specialized resource you are after cannot be provided in-house at university. And additionally, it's also possible to provide access to the national computation infrastructure, which is Australia's Tier 1 supercomputing cluster services. The next slide, please, Andrew. And of course, those computing services empower our researcher to make sure the computation resources are necessary to tackle your complex research issue. Now, moving on to the data services, we offer a suite of solutions like designed at assisting you, our researcher, in efficiently managing and storing your research data throughout your research life cycle. This service including MediaFlux, which is our large-scale digital asset management systems, like suitable for managing active research data set and particularly well suited for sharing data with external collaborators. We also provide research NAS, as you can see from Kim's data management finder tool earlier. It is essentially network attached storage that you're able to enable seamless file access from within your personal computer as a local drive. We also offer article retention services like to ensure the compliance with the retention regulation and enable you, our researcher, to retain your research data as per funding requirements. We also establish a lot of integration with many research instruments, which means there will be a seamless transfer from many major research instrument platform to our data storage infrastructure. As Eddie mentioned earlier and Christian as well, we have a publishing platform called Figshare that the researcher is able to publish your research data with a DOI for academic citation or just to make your research activity or data more discoverable. Last but not least, all the data, whichever storage system you choose to go with, our backup system will be safeguard your valuable research data on site with extra copies. Now, these data services are designed to provide researchers with robust infrastructure and support necessary for effective data management and storage throughout your entire research activity. And last but not least, for more information about us or how to connect with us, here are some useful links. Just want to point out this page gives you access to our services, documentation, and support channels. So feel free to explore them and reach out to me or my team if you have any question or require any particular support. Just want to make sure that we are here to empower your research endeavors. So if you have any question, feel free to ask. That's it for me.
Great, thanks, Andy. Eleanor, I think you're up next, yes.
Hey everyone, I am here. Thank you, Andrew. Are you doing the screen share for the slide?
I will be, yes, yes.
Thank you, perfect. Whilst Andrew gets that going, hi everyone, good to be here. These are the slides I'll be presenting on. So my name is Eleanor Collar. I am the Program Manager of Scholarly Development Research in the library. And what I will be chatting about today represents many areas within the library's research support space. Today is in two parts. I'll go through the main areas in which we provide support to the research space and how we deliver this support. And I'll then highlight a few upcoming events that you'll be able to find out. Before I begin, I will highlight two things. Firstly, the approach the library takes is one of teaching you how to be the best researcher you can be. What this means in a very practical sense is that we teach you about topics such as searching databases, conducting literature reviews, and finding appropriate places to publish. We don't do the actual database searching for you. We don't write the literature reviews. We don't select journals. Secondly, the library is doing a lot of very cool things in the research space. So whilst you likely have experience with libraries from your previous studies, maybe at high school or an undergraduate, or being a member of a public library, I really recommend engaging with the University of Melbourne Library through the number of ways I'll outline to understand how we can work with you as a graduate researcher. Next slide, please. Okay, So I will highlight 6 areas of support that the library works with researchers from all disciplines and all career stages in 3 distinct ways. And this is via online resources, group webinars and workshops, and specialised group sessions and consultations. I've broken this slide up into numerous parts for ease of reading in this presentation. So apologies for all of the upcoming please click. They're about to come up. That being said, Andrew, please click. Excellent. First up, advanced data skills. So my colleague Ailey went into this in more detail earlier in her discussion about the digital stewardship research team. But they oversee the managed data in Melbourne, digital preservation, Melbourne Figshare. They have webinars and workshops coming up called Research Data Management Essentials. And if you'd like to have more specific group sessions or a consultation, either kind of go through your supervisor to arrange that, or you can talk to a subject librarian. As Andrew mentioned earlier in the slides, these will be sent out, so all of these hyperlinks will be directed there. Please click Andrew. Advanced research skills, these cover appropriate databases, database searching, literature reviews, so really sort of a lot of what people consider the librarians to be doing in regards to research support. Upcoming webinars include the Getting Starting with Advanced Library Research. Highly recommend you sign up for that one. Please click academic impact. So this is a service that we look at in terms of the bibliometrics, the impact your academic work is having within academia. This is more prevalent in some disciplines than others and more prevalent in certain career stages than others. But we do have a number of online resources around this, as well as 2 upcoming webinars on these topics. Might be good for you to get in there early to sort of set up some best practice in these areas and spaces. Next one, please. Publishing and profiles, excellent, very applicable to many of the audience here at the moment. This looks at open access publishing, research profiles like ORCID, and the overall open scholarship movement. We have an upcoming webinar on the 2024 open access publishing agreements. I may be saying words you've never heard of before. That's okay. If you go to the webinar, you'll learn all about it and the impact this can have on your publishing and your overall research career. And then research outputs. This is much more in the back end, but you'll definitely be interacting with these areas when you're submitting a thesis upon graduation, as well as creating research outputs such as journal articles or non-traditional research outputs. And finally, we have the UDC, the University Digitisation Centre, and they have a lot of advice, training and digitisation services that you may just generally be interested in, or may allow you to access research and resources that you otherwise not have access to. And we have 2 sessions coming up from them, DIY digitisation and automated image processing for Windows. So the webinars that are all listed in the column group webinars and workshops, they are running throughout semester 1. The first one commences tomorrow. I believe it is the OA Read and Publish Skills 24. If you sign up to these, everyone who registers will receive the recording, the slides, and the supporting materials for each of those webinars that they sign up to within about a 2-week period of their webinar being run. Next slide, please. Thank you. So look, I'll just finish on this slide and flag a few other things that are generally sort of what we're being involved with in this space. So we will be at the upcoming GR orientation that's happening in early April. Do come and say hello. I won't be the only one in the stall, don't worry. There'll be some actual proper librarians there and they can chat to you about all the questions you have. And we have this flyer on the left there about 5 top tips to get you started with being a researcher at the University of Melbourne. Would also encourage people to sort of more broadly experience different practice, different programs, different resources that we have. So we have RAIN, which is the Research Engagement and Impact Network. That is a community of practice of researchers, graduate researchers, professional staff. We get together about once every 2nd month and just chat about what impact is. So if you're kind of interested in finding out a bit more about that, you're welcome to come along. We also have Visualize Your Thesis, VYT. It is where graduate researchers from across the world put together a 60-second video explainer about the research that they're undertaking. It's a great way to learn some really core information and digital literacy skills that will assist you in being a researcher. The video is sort of a proxy research output, as it were. And there are some great prizes to be won by participating as well. So more information will be coming out about that throughout March and April and how to get involved this year. We have a digital skills meetup. So that is a bi-monthly chat that we have, run that with Andrew Siebel and many other colleagues throughout the institution. The March 13th session, which has just come up, the very cool new tool that Kim mentioned earlier will be being showcased. So if you want to learn a bit more about that and play around with it, as well as learn more about the work of the Research Data Management Program and the Digital Stewardship team, please do come along. And then finally, there is a link there to the Standard Research Support website, which provides an overview of the areas I've spoken about before, as well as lots of extra links. I do recommend clicking through that link and having a look, especially also signing up to the Researcher at Library blog, and that will keep you updated on many of research-focused events, as well as sort of resource deep dives throughout the year, and you'll get an email sort of each time we do a post, which is about once every 1 to 2 weeks. Generally pretty manageable for people's inbox management. That's it from me. Thank you very much, Andrew. I'll stay around if people have questions at the end. Cheers.
Thanks, Eleanor. Excellent. It's over to you, Alex M.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm just going to share my screen. All right. You can see that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me along today. My name's Alex, and I'll be talking to you about the Digital Research Academic Convenership, or DRAC for short. So who are we? So we're a team of 4, and our purpose is, you can see the sort of official text. We sort of remit encompasses strategic programs, infrastructure and initiatives across the institution to enable, enhance and empower digital research and compute capability, strategy and resources. Essentially, we are a bidirectional link between researchers and the institution, and we work closely with some of the units that you're hearing from today. So there's 4 of us, we come from different parts of the university, Professor Dougie Boyle, Dr. Philip Dart, myself and Marlena Reid, and we work together to advance our goals. All right, so again, this is a list of our kind of official activities. So things like consultation and communication with faculties and engagement with various, I guess, individuals across faculties, such as the deans, associate deans of research and faculty research managers. We support and advance various channels to help support researchers. But the point that I really want to draw your attention to, it's the last one, sort of glossed over the others, is that we provide support for digital research skills, training, engagement. And this is an essential component of our work. All right, so we've got 4 focus areas. These include support, cultural change, centralised resources and research metadata. But in terms of engagement with researchers, this is the support element and the cultural change. So data-centric research culture and fundamentally establishing a stronger support layer to demonstrate the potential of existing Melbourne Uni supported platforms and what they can do for researchers across the university. We have 2 strategic goals for 2024. One is around research software engineering, and that's a separate piece of work, but we are focused on faculty engagement and digital research capabilities. So initially this was focused on HASS, or the humanities, arts and social sciences, because there are different levels of, you can say, maturity in the different domains. But actually this work is being deployed across the university, all faculties, and we are available for all researchers. So as an example of, I guess, the resources that we provide, this is a Padlet designed by Associate Professor Kate Coleman, who was a previous academic convener. And this is a resource that draws together Many of the elements that you've heard about today from the different units across the university, there's a URL link to there, but also this will go out on the slides. And this, you can't really see here on the slide, but it's divided into different columns. And so that is sort of like a one-stop shop. There are many entry points into all these different university resources, and this is one that's been drawn together by the DRAC team, which, yeah, Kate Coleman led and put together. All right, and then just finally to sum up, what can we do for you? So as I mentioned, we are this bi-directional link. We are here to support researchers at all stages of their careers. Graduate researchers are a really important cohort in terms of what we do in the community that we service. You will be at the start of your research careers, and it's an opportunity to really learn what is available in the university to sort of advance your research and contribute to your research impact. So if you would like a workshop, for example, maybe not, we don't do one-on-one, but if you have a research group or within your department or faculty, we can easily organise a workshop where we might look at research project planning and management, various digital research data challenges, and non-traditional research outputs. So yes, if you'd like to meet with us, we can easily pull that together, and we'd love to learn more about what you're doing. And additionally, if there are particular digital research challenges that you're experiencing, do let us know. So our email address is there, as well as our our web link to our page. Yes, and we'd love to hear from you and let us know what we can do to support your research.
So, thank you, Alex. Excellent. I'm next. So I wanted to briefly introduce what MDAP does at the university, so Melbourne Data Analytics Platform. So we are a relatively large team now of researchers who are looking to enable data-intensive research, this is a silly timer on, across all disciplines at the University of Melbourne. So we have three key pillars: collaboration, computing, and research impact. I think they kind of speak for themselves, but essentially it is, we do focus on research collaboration. We work very closely with research computing services and really a conduit between researchers and RCS in many ways to ensure that researchers get access to those great resources and make the most of the computing support and resources we have at the university. And obviously a key focus on research impact, which has also been mentioned multiple times today. We were formed in 2019 as part of the Pettiscale campus, which was the first iteration of DRAC. And that was a 5-year plan to accelerate the university's capacity for data-intensive research. And so the team has grown over this time, and there's actually more faces than this now. What we planned, or how we were set up, was to work across all 10 or now 9 faculties across the university. So we deliberately recruited across discipline backgrounds, bringing in data specialists from a whole range of fields. And that was really important because a lot of what we do is very interdisciplinary. So ensuring that we have a number of disciplines, domains, backgrounds represented, as well as a number of different skills and skill sets is really important, and really the key element to what makes MDAP such a success. So we're led by Associate Professor Nick Geard, who's our director, myself as a platform manager, and then, as I said, we've currently got 18 research data specialists, which is a pretty decent sized team, but there's lots of demand out there for our expertise. So this is just an example of the kind of expertise we have in-house or in the team. As I mentioned, a lot of it is around computing and computing infrastructure and making the most of that infrastructure. But Importantly, we do have the expertise around NLP, natural language processing, machine learning, data analysis, data stewardship, but then a whole range of other areas as well. The data management, curation, stewardship is a key component of our team, but we work again very closely with Kim and Helena in the research data management team. Obviously, data visualization, web development, image processing is all all included in our kind of skill set. But this is not an exhaustive list. So with a key focus on research collaboration, we've got the capacity to be able to explore a number of new research domains, and that that an example might be exploring social media data, could be creating kind of artificial intelligence powered art installations such as the Heart, which is here at Melbourne Connect. Amazing installation in the foyer. If you haven't seen it, please come by and have a look. A lot of modelling and such as impacts of climate change and quite a bit in the medical area and around image processing using machine learning. And that's just 4 examples of a whole breadth of research projects that we work on in domains. So there's a number of ways you can engage with us. Some are more relevant than others, I guess, depending on the career stage you're at. And so that could be faculty supported collaboration. So that's our what we call our longer term kind of collaborations that last between 3 and 9 months, where we have a call every year for applications. Expressions of interest come in around September, and we start those projects at the start of every calendar year. So that's important. It's important that these are kind of high strategic value to the university and or faculty. These are merit-based allocation, and we have an independent senior academic decision-making committee who recommend which of those we support every year. We also have researcher-funded engagements where people can come to us with funds where they're looking for specific support, normally around data analysis, and we can engage with them for a period of time. We have a team of data specialists, as I mentioned, so that, and that can either be a one-on-one kind of engagement, or it could be with a small team of our data specialists. And that's open all year round. It's done at a cost recovery engagement model. And the last is just around advice in short projects. So these are again always open. You can get in touch with us via our website or their email address at the bottom of that slide there, where if you just want some advice and consultancy style kind of advice is generally offered free, and depending on if that's a longer period of time and where we're devoting a lot of time to it, it might move into the researcher funded engagement. So that's just a really brief and quick overview of what MDAP does and what we're here and how we're here to support you. But I'm also going to share another slide. An important element of our team is to support a number of different researchers, and I think Alex may have mentioned of supporting HAS researchers is one key area where we've focused over the last year or so. I'm going to throw over to Ma, who's next to me in the room here. I'm just going to share these slides, Ma, and then you can take it from there around the HAS Task Force.
Sure. So the HAS Task Force is a pretty new initiative. We started working on it last year, pretty much last year. It's a joint initiative between the Melbourne Data Analytics Platform and the Digital Studio based in the Faculty of Arts. And the idea is that researchers in the humanities, arts, and social sciences, we believe need a little bit of extra support to incorporate these digital tools into their research. And this is because they don't have the same support networks that people in STEM and medicine have. So if someone goes and attends an introduction to Python or introduction to R course and then goes back, there's still a huge gap between graduating from this course and incorporating all of these expertise into your own research questions and reading in your research data. And so when you hit a wall and you need to troubleshoot things, people in STEM and in medicine tend to have the postdoc who sits next door or the PhD student who's down the hall who are already familiar with these tools. And so they have those support networks, whereas people in HAS don't. It's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it is, but it's not always. And so we want to provide that extra support network and help HAS researchers troubleshoot when they get stuck with using these new technologies. And so the goals of the HAS task force is to help people automate things, particularly looking at tasks that you might do manually that are repetitive, take a lot of time, they're error prone, and they don't really require highly specialized skills. Like, are you copying and pasting 120 things from different PDF files? We want to try to help you automate that so that you can focus on the things that you're actually an expert on, which is interpreting the content of these PDF files. And so we want to help you discover tools and techniques that can take this digital scholarship that one step further and be able to do more with less effort. We want to help you troubleshoot these tools when they're not quite working for you. So once you spend too much time trying to solve a problem by yourself with Google, there's diminishing returns. There's the point at which it's not worth the effort. And so we want to be that kind of support network to help you troubleshoot these. And importantly, we want to connect you with others within the university who are doing similar things, even if they're in a different faculty or in a different area altogether, so that you can start helping each other. And the idea behind this is that really the best way to try to learn something is to try to teach it or explain it to someone else. And so there's a few initiatives that we have going on this year. We're kind of changing the operating model a little bit. So we're moving to a model where we run workshops or tutorials or support sessions by demand. And so that QR code that's there, and I'll actually paste in the chat all of these links as well. I quickly put that up with a few options, kind of a menu style of training, because it's very unique, it's very bespoke, the kind of needs that HAS researchers have. So it covers a lot of ground, and we don't even know what it is that you need. So we don't know what to run if we don't know what you need. So if you have anything in particular that you need help with, please feel free to follow that link. Another initiative we're working on is, and this is completely under development. I'm sharing you a completely raw version of it. There's a lot of it to improve, but we're working on an interactive catalog of digital tools for HAS researchers. And so feel free to follow that link also and send us your feedback or how we can improve this. What this intends to be is, depending on the type of data that you're working on, it'll send you through and what kind of analysis or otherwise you want to do with this data. You kind of follow the decision tree and end up at different tools that might be able to help you. For each tool, if you click on it, it will show you a little bit more where to access training about it, whether the university offers a license for it or not, and information like that. And the last one is the website. It's within the MDAP website. So this has already all the other two links that I pointed to. So please go there and read through and get in touch if you have any questions at all. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Mark. So that's a nice segue to now talking about tools. And Jeremy, it's over to you. I think you're going to share your slides.
Thanks, Andrew. So I'm going to tell you guys about the best letter of the alphabet today and just run through a little bit on the R software environment. So R is an open source and free sort of language/environment for statistical computing and graphics. What this really means, it's a useful interface for accessing data management and storage tools, doing all of your data wrangling tasks, so the sort of cleaning and manipulation to get from a raw data set into something a little more useful. It's probably best known for its statistical prowess, so running all of your various statistical tests, but can also be used for graphical presentation of data and reports. In fewer words, it looks like this, a little environment where you can type code. Down here is where stuff happens. You can visualize your data and see what you've got in the system, and a general file browser. And it's useful for turning tabular data, either numerical or text data, into a variety of graphs, reports, or even sort of full web widgets can be built from within the R system. So I think the best way to sort of give you an idea of what R actually does, or what it can do for you, is to run just a quick demo. So let me stop sharing this one and pull up an R screen instead for a few brief moments. Here we go. You can all see that. So again, this is the R interface. First thing you're going to want to do when you open up R is actually bring some data in. You can import from many different data types, from either text data with different flavors, from other statistical programs, but probably the most common one we'll be using is from Excel sheets. So it's pretty easy to do. Find the data you want, click the import, and that'll pop it into your R environment. So this is a little bit of demographic data from a previous one of these digital skills showcases, talking about the faculty, career stage, and where people found information about it. Like Excel, you can sort of scroll through and observe stuff in it, but also R is pretty good at making sort of quick summarizations to get a general gist of what your data is doing. So to do that, I'm going to create a new data object called summary. That's going to come from my original data. Maybe we're interested in looking at what faculty people are coming from. So let's say we want to group by faculty in use, and then just count up how many people from each of those faculties attended this last session. So we can run this, we get a new data object here. We've got our various faculties reduced down to 9 now, and we can see that the majority of students, so the majority of people who came along were from MDHS. So it's one thing to visualize data in this tabular form. It's also really good at actually converting that into a graph, which again, we can do with just a couple of lines of code. Let's say we're going to create a plot. We want to put some things in it. On our x-axis, we want the faculty people are coming from. On the y-axis, we want that count value. And we want to make it a column graph. And something's not working here. Well, in the interest of saving time, I have created some earlier. So I'm just going to copy this one across and dump it in rather than trying to troubleshoot. Faculty count summary. And just like that, we can create a quick little visualization of where people are coming from and how many there are. With R stuff, it's also very, very easy to flip between different pieces of analysis. So maybe instead of looking at the faculty, we're interested in career stage. All we need to do is replace faculty in its various spots with career stage. And if we run these again, we can get a different visualization showing how many people from different stages in their career came along. And again, it seems like the majority of people were from the graduate researcher community there, maybe as anticipated. Lastly, if we want to go into more detail, we could easily do that as well. Say if we're looking at faculty and career stage in a sort of crosswise manner, just incorporating that in there will give us a much larger summary table with every career stage and every faculty. So it seems like the bulk of our students, so people attending were graduate researchers from NDHS. And just as easily, we can visualize that. Say, let's put faculty back in here. And we want to have little individual graphs for each career stage. And it's going to look a little rough with a whole bunch of text, but we can get those kind of visualizations up with very minimal effort there too. Again, we can spend extra time making this a lot prettier, sort of publication grade, but for a quick exploratory analysis, it's really quite simple to get these sort of things up and running. And so that's a little bit of what you can do with so let me get back to my PowerPoint presentation. So if this seems like something that would be useful to you, we do offer probably every couple of months a 4-part training series. Next series is starting next Monday, 19th of the 2nd, and they'll be running from 10 AM to 12 at Melbourne Connect. Don't worry if you've never coded before. This is designed to get someone who's absolutely never touched anything related to R or computing to the stage where they can do those kind of analyses and those steps that we were just going through before. So busted down into 4 sessions, introducing R, the different data types, different data manipulations, and then building a whole data analysis pipeline at the end. And if this looks like something you'd be interested in jumping onto, this QR code or this web link, which I'll also paste into the chat, are the places to go to sign up for our training. Thanks, everyone. I'll pass that back to you now, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. I'm now going to pass over to Cynthia. Can you tell us a little bit about No, just talk.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here. My name is Encia, and I'm a PhD student at Infrastructure Engineering at UNIMELB, and I'm here in charge of running Python workshop. But why Python? Could you please next slide? Thank you. Python is well-known because it is easy, but I want to bring your attention to 2 other factors. The first one is about the ranking in trending. Based on IEEE Spectrum reports, Python has the first ranking in trending in 2023. It means that when you start learning a Python, you come across to the large community of people. You can find a lot of tutorials, and if you have some problems, you can find a lot of solution about that. So not only it's easy itself, Python, because it is a high-level language, but also it's very easy to learn. And the other factor is about the ranking in job. And this factor tells us that about 90% industry are working to someone who has a Python skills. So why wouldn't you start learning this Python actually? So could you please click on the link in the previous slide? Python Digital Skill Training website, thank you. This website we prefer. This is a Python Digital Skills Training website that we prepare for Python workshop. If you scroll down, you can find about the Python, our philosophy, and also if you click on the second here, you can find, if you come up, yeah, you can find about the Slack. So with your student account or your staff account, you can join the Slack on a Python channel. You can ask your question, and on the left side, you can find about the training overview. You can find whatever we are going to tell you about the Python workshops. And please read once about our eligibility, requirement, and expectation. And also you can find the support is about the Slack support and the other Unimel support you can find there. And also in the Python workshop section, you can find the documentation for each session. For example, if you click on this install Python session, for example, you can find the documentation, Python installation for Windows user and also for Mac users. So for each session, we have some documents that you can find from here. So could you please back to the slides? Thank you. And the next slide. So what is our Python schedule in 2024? So we have a Python setup and project kickoff. Also, we have intermediate, NumPy libraries, and the Pandas libraries. Next slide, please. In Python setup and project kickoff, you will learn how to install a Python, whether you are using a Windows or a Mac, and you can learn how to create a virtual environment and start your first project. And next slide, please. An intermediate is divided into two sections, intermediate 1 and intermediate 2. In intermediate 1, you will learn about the data types, and in intermediate 2 session, you will learn about the basic structure of the Python, about the for loops, if statement, and the functions. And then we go starting about the libraries. Next, please. This library is a NumPy, one of the important library that you can work with. And we divided into 2 sessions, NumPy 1 and NumPy 2. In these 2 sessions, you will learn what is a NumPy array, how to create NumPy array, and how can you implement some functions on a NumPy. And then we go through into the Pandas. Pandas is one of the important library if you are working on data mining, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, or any kind of data. Pandas is very practical for you. So we divided into 3 sessions. In Pandas 1, you will learn how to create a data frame, series, and indexes. And in Pandas 2 and Pandas 3 in the next session, you will learn about some important function. For example, data cleaning, editing, joining, and applying some function on data frames. Next slide, please. And in Pandas 3, you will learn about the grouping, aggregation, sorting, and saving and reading data, and a practical case study project. And we have a timetable. So we divided a year into 2 parts based on our semester. The first one start late Feb till May, and the second one start from July to November. So each session will be run just twice in a year, so don't miss our sessions. And could you please next slide? And if you have any kind of question, any concerns about the Python, I'm here. I'm working in Melbourne Connect level 6. You can find me around here, and also you can email me. We can chat to each other, or we have some conversation. I have coffee. And also, I'm more than happy if you have any question at the end of the session, I will answer you. And thank you. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Cynthia. Your slides up, Kat.
Just a talk.
Yep. Yeah. Once I share quickly, sorry. There we go. All right. Thanks, Kathy.
Hi everyone, I'm Kat. I'm a 3rd year in Math and Stats, and I am the LaTeX trainer. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the LaTeX workshops we're running in 2024. So before we actually begin, what is LaTeX? So LaTeX, and also pronounced LaTeX, is a typesetting language for documentation. It's originally based on the TeX language developed by Donald Knuth. And unlike traditional word processors, such as the PowerPoint that I'm using right now, they rely on visual alignment, whereas LaTeX actually uses markup commands for document structure. Next slide, thanks. So why should you learn LaTeX? So what you'll find is with more complex and larger documents, traditional word processors just can't really keep up. And if you've ever struggled with formatting documents that contain mathematical notation or technical formulas, LaTeX is a great alternative. It's pretty much the go-to choice for academics, mathematicians, engineers. In fact, pretty much all my uni professors are avid LaTeX users. So yeah, and furthermore, there's inbuilt management citations. So LaTeX has applications across all fields and not just STEM. Finally, LaTeX is open source, so it's free and accessible to everyone. You don't have to worry about licensing. So if you look at my diagram, well, there is a learning curve to LaTeX. It really is a worthwhile tool because it gets exponentially more powerful the more you learn. Next slide. So here's an example of what you can do in LaTeX. This is a poster I compiled about last week. It's for the summer research I did. But there are many other document types like papers and reports. In fact, I even compiled my resume on LaTeX not too long ago, just to give it a nice professional finish. Next slide. Oh, I think we're missing a slide, but that's okay. That's okay, I think it just hasn't updated, but just a little bit about the scheduling of the workshops. So we run LaTeX workshops in a series of 4. So we've got 2 introductory ones aimed at users with little to no experience, and then we've got 2 advanced ones, and they follow on from the intro ones. So the first series of 4 will be held in person, and I'll post the key dates in the chat afterwards. So the first introduction workshop will be about images. So this really focuses on the foundations of getting started in LaTeX, so setting up your own document for the first time. We'll focus on inserting images. This is a really good way of getting you used to the program since, as I said before, it instead of using visual alignment that most users are used to, it uses markup commands. And our end goal is just to familiarize users with LaTeX and make sure that you control your rotation, sizing, formatting these images. Next slide. So our second LaTeX workshop is about typesetting technical formulas. And personally, this is my favorite part about LaTeX because you get to typeset some really beautiful math. So yeah, we focus on LaTeX math mode applications, and also got some tips and tricks about how you can make other mathematical softwares such as Mathematica more compatible with LaTeX. Our third introductory workshop is focusing on lists and tables. So like the first introductory lecture, there's going to be a bit of an overlap just with setting up LaTeX for the first time, and our end goal is to just get users familiarized and generate ordered lists, unordered lists, and tables. So our final workshop, next slide. Oh, yeah, there we go, is focusing on referencing. So I know I personally find referencing something really time consuming, and I absolutely dread it. So I really appreciate the built-in software that LaTeX has for referencing. It's called BibTeX. It formats citations for you, and you can control the style, whether it's Harvard or APA. And our end goal is just to build a bibliography, and we'll also introduce some reference management tools like Zotero. Next slide. Yeah, so that's all I got about the workshops today. So if you want any further information, feel free to shoot me an email. But yeah, I hope to see some of you guys at the next workshop. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Kat. And last but not least,
Certainly.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
Certainly.
Is
Bit of confidence.
Alex. Hang on.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
My name's Alex. I'm a PhD candidate over in FCC, and I teach the sort of like basket of tools that are broadly associated with doing qualitative research. So if you're doing interviews or surveys or document analysis or like whatever weird stuff historians do nowadays, I tend to teach tools that are relevant to that context. What I offer primarily is NVivo. NVivo is qualitative data analysis software. I've been teaching it since 2019, which makes me feel old. What I offer is a sort of 3-part introductory course. I know someone here today is almost certainly going to attend part 2, thinking it's part 1. Tried my best to identify, as part 1 is to start with. Please attend that first. There's other people at the training as well. And what we do is we go over the entire life cycle of a qualitative research project. And what we're going to look at is primarily working with interviews. How do you get them into the software? How do you analyze them? We tend to use thematic analysis as our model here, but if you're doing discourse analysis, or if you're more like semantically minded, it's not my area of expertise per se, but it is certainly an applicable method that you can work with in the sessions. Once we've sort of done that introductory course where we go from the start to the finish of a qualitative project, I then offer a few specialized advanced workshops as well. Got one where we look at literature reviews, so that's looking at Zotero and EndNote and how you can get them into NVivo and make things a little bit easier. One where we work with more complicated structured data like your surveys or Excel spreadsheets. And then another one where we look at collaboration, where I sort of spend 2 hours complaining about why NVivo is not great for collaboration, but offering you a few workable methods so that you can work with research partners across institutions. Also offering some drop-in sessions this year as well. What I'm going to be doing as well this year is, because I've had a few complaints from some people in the chat, some of whom may have AI assistants helping to transcribe it. And NVivo is not particularly useful all the time. It's quite heavy as a piece of software. It can be quite slow, and it is sometimes a little bit difficult to do the basic stuff. And so what I'm offering this year is I'm going to offer some introductory training in CATMA, which I chose because the C has cat ears, and I think that's really cute. But CATMA is a much more lightweight tool. It's browser-based, and it does textual annotation, which is very similar to what NVivo does. It's a lot easier to use, I've found, and it's a lot more lightweight. And in particular, it has a much easier method of collaborating. So that's going to be offered later in the year. It's the first time that I'm teaching it. It's very exciting. I'm very nervous, but it looks really cool. And I'm really happy to be able to offer that this year. Now, here are 2 other tools that I offer more on a case-by-case basis. I'm going to start to look at Qualtrics. I think Qualtrics is a relatively self-explanatory piece of software to use, but I do think that there does need to be a little bit more support at the university in that area. That's probably more likely to be offered in semester 2. And I also do training on a case-by-case basis for Amiga, which eagle-eyed viewers among you would have seen in some of the library and research data management tools. It's really useful for creating online websites and exhibitions and things like that. It's a very neat tool. I tend to teach that for small groups who are working particularly on a specific project that Amiga could be very useful for. If you're interested, you can get in touch. I'll pop my email address in the end of the talk today. Final slide. The other thing I sort of want to mention here, there might be people who are interested, and I also think, we've got like 40 people here today who are interested in all of these things. It's word of mouth is excellent, but if you feel like, you might need maybe small group training, not just in NVivo, but you can do the same thing for R or for Python or LaTeX. If you've got quite a small group that needs very tailored group training, it's also something that we do offer over at the Digital Skills Training team as well. And it can be a little bit more useful if you have those very specific questions. Obviously, we offer primarily generalist training here at the university and in this team. Often you might have very specific questions, and it can be difficult to take those questions to a wider workshop. So if you can get a small group together and get in contact with us, that's some stuff that we can organize. I've done it a few times over the years as well. Now, I think we're going to put a link to all of the events. You will see that the NVivo events are not there. That's my fault. I'm very lazy. They are at exactly the same time as all the R training. They're at 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. I just noticed on Mondays. I'm over in the digital studio. It's an absolute nightmare of a room to get to, but we'll help you out. That's when the training will be. All those are going to come live soon, and I'm very excited to see you all there.
Thank you, Alex. And as predicted, we're a little bit over time, but we do have a few minutes for questions. And that link will go up in the chat very soon. And NVivo is there. I did them all about 11 o'clock last night. So everything should be there. All of the those last few tools that we mentioned from R, Python, LaTeX, and NVivo, our first series of those workshops will be available for registration now. And you get exclusive and the first bite at the cherry, as they say, because there are limited numbers because it is in person. And so make sure you register. And if it's a series, make sure you register for part 1 as well as the subsequent ones. So you get the foundational learning as well. So we will open the floor for questions. I think most of our speakers are still here. Thank you very much to our speakers. It was amazing tour de force of the kind of support that you can receive as researchers. And I will stop talking and see if there are any questions. And I think Alex have been doing, probably monitor the chat for me, and I'll look out for any hands up. But please feel free to raise your electronic hand if you have a question. The slides will be available. I'll circulate them in the next day, but hopefully by the end of today, with all the relevant links that were presented and the contact details of all the presenters. I encourage you to reach out to any of the presenters today and take advantage of the kind of support resources you have available here at the university. Sometimes it's not easy to find. We acknowledge that on our labyrinth of websites, but hopefully this is one place where things are trying to pull things together, relevant resources in the kind of digital data space. So, thank you for your comments as well. We really appreciate the positive comments. Also appreciate constructive comments as well. But it is really nice. I get a lot out of this session, and I've been here at the uni for a number of years as well. I think there's there's still much work to do to bring these resources together. Don't think there are any. There's definitely no hands, and I don't think there's any other questions in the chat. But I'll be on here till 11, but then we have to move out of the room. So if you feel more comfortable, reach out to us individually. The other way you can just ask more general questions is just via the, I'll just share this with you. The Researcher-Connect is another way that you can ask just general questions. You can go to the Researcher-Connect at Unimel email address. That's a central place where a lot of questions do come to us around research support. The digital skills training program is just one element to how we can, how we offer training and support in this space. So